Thank you for auditing Professor Skye's Record Review, the only first listed new music review show hosted by a French professor who's doing something a little bit silly today. I'm going to be doing what I call a pop-off, where I compare two different albums by two different pop singers. Now listen, I generally only do music that is less than a month old. That's kind of one of my policies. It has to be released within the last month. But every once in a while, I'll do something a little bit different. Now, the last time I did this was actually my 50 subscriber special. It was my 51st episode, and I had basically gotten one subscriber per episode, and I compared Sia and Aurora. And what I noticed was whenever I review an interesting, not cookie-cutter female pop star, I get a lot of requests to do more of their music. And that's definitely true for the people I'm comparing today, Charli XCX and Carly Rae Jepsen. Now, this is going to be a comparison. I'm going to declare a winner between these two. But really, it's me who wins. Because this channel is dedicated to new music, I force myself to listen to things and be exposed to things that I would normally just dismiss. Certainly, Carly Rae Jepsen is worth dismissing if you're a middle-aged dude who doesn't pay attention to things. And same thing with Charli XCX. And I encourage you to watch both my videos where I reviewed their last albums, which I liked quite a bit. So this is fun. This is my 3,000th subscriber special, so I went from basically 1 an episode to basically 10 an episode. I'm no scientist, but I believe that makes exponential growth. I'm quite happy about that. But one of the things I really want to emphasize is that I use my authority as a professor to try to get people into the show, because I got my doctorate, I am actually a full-time professor, all that stuff. But at the same time, what I like to emphasize is my ignorance, how little I know. And I know so little about these two singers. Everything I know was from listening to their albums that came out in the last 2 months. So I really love just working with that ignorance and coming to things completely blind. Of all the requests I've got on this channel, I get a lot of requests for 2 different albums. And that's why I'm comparing these. They came out within a year of each other. And one is Emotions Side B by Carly Rae Jepsen, and the other is Pop 2 by Charli XCX. One of my viewers, I actually don't know if they're a viewer or not, or if they're just a commenter, because on every single one of my videos since I reviewed Charli XCX, they have some comment that says that I should review Pop 2. So listen, I found that funny, and so that's part of the reason why I'm doing this channel, why I'm doing this video. You'll see up here I have winner and second place. I'm not going to declare either of them a loser because this whole thing is silly. I don't do 10 out of 10 or 5 stars or any of that stuff because music is art and art shouldn't be quantified. Quantified? Quantified, yeah, that's a word. Even though I'm a professor, sometimes I doubt whether or not words are words. We should worry about the quality of art and not try to figure out how many out of 10 it is. But still, it's more compelling. So what I did is I cut out these weird disembodied pictures of each of their faces. And I'm going to put them in the winner category or the second place category for each of these 9 categories. You can do it at home if you want. Make your prediction. And also, my goal is to discuss all 18 songs. Will I get to all 18? I don't know. So I'm not going to declare necessarily a loser, but there will be a winner. I'm going to be careful though. The joke is always, that, super fans are really toxic, and if you say anything bad about a female pop star, their fans will come after you. I've been doing this channel for long enough that I can tell you, you don't have to worry about toxic female pop star fans. They are not the problem. If you say anything bad about Bob Dylan or Morrissey, those are the folks you gotta watch out for. All right, guys. Jeez. Isn't it enough to be universally acclaimed as the greatest songwriter of all time? You also can't have anybody pointing out any flaws? Anyway, so I'm gonna declare a winner. My ignorance is complete here. It's Emotion Side B. I've never heard even 1 second of Emotion Side A. I'm listening to Pop 2. I haven't listened to Pop 1. I don't know. I will tell you one thing that's special about both these albums, though, is that because it's Pop 2 and it's Emotion Side B, neither of them are the sort of declarative album, like the statement of an album. And it's been said before, but we are living in kind of a post-album era where EPs and mixtapes and powerful singles are replacing the value of an album. But I think it's important because with albums, with serious album releases. You have all the press and the focus and the release dates and all that stuff. These things both feel nice because they're from pop stars, but they feel looser. And I think maybe that's why their fans like them so much. Because if it's side B, you can just appreciate it for what it is. And if it's pop 2, just a kind of mixtape, then you can just sort of not have to give it the gravity of the album. So let's get going. My daughter got really freaked out. Like, why are there disembodied heads in the printer? Yeah, this is production value. 300 episodes, 3,000 subscribers, production value. The first thing I want to start with is first impression. This definitively is a big victory for Carly Rae Jepsen. The Charli XCX is a grower, not a shower. It takes a while to get into. It's very discordant, whereas the Carly Rae Jepsen, just immediately, right off the first track, the first time, you are just swimming in an ocean of 1980s pop quality. It's better produced than most 80s music, but it has that feeling. It feels like a great Madonna album. Early Madonna is great, but I have a secret for you, and this will get some people angry. Most of her early songs are kind of boring. Like, I love Borderline. That's one of my favorite songs, favorite melodies, but it's like 13 minutes long. It's way too long. So this has that charm and that innocence and the kind of dirty innocence of Madonna, her early stage, without any of the kind of boringness, and it's just a lot easier. My whole family agreed. I listened to both these albums with them. They all agree on first listen, Carly Rae Jepsen, much easier to listen to. When it goes to voice, this is a little bit weird because I would say neither singer can be defined as a great singer. Neither one of them, I don't think, has any particular talent as just the pure quality of their voice, which is fine for me. I don't like Adele. I'll get some hate for that, but she's got that quality and she would win in this whole thing, but I actually don't particularly like it. I am going to give this to Charli, though. I'm going to give this to Charli because of the things that are happening with her voice, this sort of rage whine that she has. She has this particular tone to her voice that I find really interesting. I like her accent. At times shows up, at times it doesn't. Although I can't quite figure it out. On one track, track 10, she says, "I took you for granted. I can't understand it." It's like, well, which is it? Are you gonna pronounce it like understand it, like British people would? Maybe they wouldn't. I don't know. And definitely Carly Rae gets negative points for never singing with a Canadian accent or saying anything in a Canadian voice. I like that both of these are singing in English, but neither of them are American. But still, I would say, they're both good voices. Carly Rae's voice is nice. She has some good range on a song like Higher. I would say you can hear that she does have good range. She particularly has a very good cutting voice that can cut through the rest of the production and can kind of lead. But in general, she sort of has her Madonna register and stays there. So that was a close one, but I'll give that one to Charli XCX. As far as production goes, this one was easy. Talk about a tie. Absolute tie. Both of these albums are amazingly produced. And if there's any reason, if you're sitting out there and you're just watching this because you don't like either of them, do yourself a favor. Charli XCX, Pop 2, absolutely avant-garde pop production. At times it's almost unlistenable, like Delicious, which is with Tommy Cash, which is cool because he's on my favorite song from last year with Mode Selector. It's just so avant-garde, and just the trademark of the whole album is this auto-tuned shriek. It's just so far out there. But it seems by reading the credits that it's basically all by A.G. Cook. So it has that kind of nice one-person feel. And at times even it'll go kind of sparse and then it'll get richer. A track like Portia, which I think she pronounced Porsche, her voice actually comes out. And the chorus gets poppy. And there's a great mixture between kind of poppy sounds and more aggressive sounds. But truly the masterpiece of production on both of these is track 10. It's a Charli XCX song. And it begins with what sounds like Animal Crossing creatures talking, and then a harp comes on, and it's all over the place. And sounds drop out, and they come in, arpeggiators come in, there's a harp in the beginning. It ends with a harp sound. I would actually like to see A.G. Cook's recording software, just to see how many tracks he must be working with there, because it is insane, but it all comes together. And it's so rich that I listened to it 3 times, but I get the sense that for the rest of my life, I'll be listening to this track and go, oh, listen to how they took this out and then they put this voice in. And definitely one thing I love is that auto-tune shriek, that weird thing they're able to do. And I'll get into that a little bit later about how auto-tune is used. But how does Charli make it up there too? Well, her album is it's almost the opposite. It's not that it's avant-garde, it's that it has one note, 80s lush pop, and it does it all the way through, and it's so consistent. The choruses are repeated the right amount of time. The synthesizers are clear. There's great 80s style funk guitar work just all the way through. It's just beautiful. And both of these albums really find a way to do what all good pop music should do, where you have the star, and then you figure out how to make things around that star that feel organic. So it's not that they are creating all of this music, but the music couldn't be created without their voice and their vision in the center. Really excellent. Neither of these feel like industrial churning. This is like artisanal pop. Oh my God, that's such a douchey thing to say. It's okay. People always call me douchey on my videos. Can't help it. For lyrics, that one is actually not too hard either. I would have to say Charli Ray wins it on the lyrics. I really love her sort of approach and her shtick. I really like how she has this vulnerability and innocence that really carries over from Call Me Maybe, where she's sort of singing about wanting, but she always has this kind of naive sense to it. The track Cry, which I'll talk about later, is just a beautiful track about vulnerability. The opening track, First Time, just these great lyrics. You know, every time my heart breaks, it's like the first time. I think this is intentionally a callback to Like a Virgin by Madonna, but it's done in her own way. But then on a track like Fever, she actually talks about being scared. And all the time when she sings about love, it feels like she's actually talking about love in a way that's real, that she's actually experienced these loves. Whereas Charli XCX, I like a lot of her lyrics, but there's some weak points. Like the track I Got It is just about like having stuff, and it makes sense because the guest appearances are all talking about having stuff, but still, there's a guest appearance with a good line. I have so many offers on the table, I need to eat on the couch. I like that. Or like a track like Fembot, which feels almost like a counterpoint to RoboCop by Kanye. I don't know if it is. But, you know, it's a neat idea, and a lot of things that she's working on are interesting and feel personal, but it still is a little bit more abstract. I don't really get the sense that I know much about Charli XCX, except that she kind of doubts herself and likes to be distracted by partying. Whereas with Charli Ray, I feel like I get a better sense of who she is. As far as atmosphere goes, that's pretty definitive as well. I'm going to be giving that one to Charli XCX. Definitely this psychotic avant-garde feeling that just persists it. It's tough. This was almost a tie because how consistent the atmosphere was in the Charli Ray thing, but I feel like I've heard other great albums that do the 80s thing very well. But on Charli XCX, I mean, a track like Tears, it's got like this catchy component to it, and it has like these trap drums, and the scream is in the background, and it all is able to come together in a way that just makes you feel when you're listening to it, unlike the way you feel listening to almost anything. In general, on the Charli Ray, you know, a track like Fever has a little bit more variance. It's like kind of a ballad, and so is Cry. But it's weird because the track Store actually breaks the 80s aesthetic, and I think that's what bothered me the most. It's a great song. It's one of the catchiest songs of all of them, but it's a very modern sounding song. It doesn't have that same feeling, so it kind of broke up the atmosphere. As far as the message goes, this was pretty close as well, but I'll give that to Charli XCX, just because I like even though her lyrics aren't quite as strong, I think line by line, I think the general feel of this whole album and the thing that she's putting out is just sort of, I mean, both of these are about female empowerment and about female empowerment over their sexuality, over their desires, over their lives. But I just got more of a sense of the maybe this is a bad category, actually. I think I'm contradicting myself. Because if I'm saying that I like her messages more, but I like her lyrics less, maybe that doesn't make sense. I don't know. Maybe I'll just leave that up there. It's okay. I'm not going to be recorded. I will say that the track Unlock It is a good example of the kind of messaging that I'm talking about with Charli XCX. Maybe what I was thinking when I made this chart was Carly Rae, it is about her desire, but she always seems like a tourist to her own desires. It seems like she's always kind of surprised by the things that she wants. Whereas Charli XCX knows what she wants and you better unlock this door because I know the door's here and I know what the key is, so you better unlock it. So maybe it's that sort of more aggressive tone, which is ultimately more empowered. I think that's what I meant. Good save, Skye. As far as the best, as far as pop power goes, I am going to say that goes to Carly Rae. And by pop power, I mean just the ability to listen to something and have catchy songs and do what pop music does. I was listening to this. My wife, the Dr. Mrs. Payne, was making pesto with garlic scapes. I'm very excited to eat that for lunch in 5 minutes. And it was she was like, yeah, this is a great summer pop album. You can really nod your head to it. You don't have to be deep into it. You don't have to be like you are with Charli XCX with your headphones in and listening. What in the world are they going to do next? So really just a lot of very catchy songs. A track like Body Language has this awesome guitar in the back and orchestra hits, and again the repeating of the chorus, and the chorus gets stuck in your head. Or Store, again, you listen to Store once, it's stuck in your head for days. I assume. I only started listening to these albums yesterday. Charli XCX, I don't think is trying to be that poppy in this album. Even though it's called Pop 2, I think she's trying to be more avant-garde than pop. There are some tracks that are catchy, like Out of My Head, that's actually pretty catchy. She kind of plays with sparseness. Unlock It as well, a track I previously mentioned with Kim Petras. And even the Jay Park hip-hop standard verse, it does veer into the pop, but not quite as much. As far as best song goes, this was also pretty easy. The song Cry by Carly Rae Jepsen does everything just right. It has this beautiful sequencer and keyboards, and her voice is just right, and it's the best lyrics on any of these 18 songs. It's all about the need to be with a man who's able to cry, close his eyes when he kisses. You don't hear that many songs about needing men to be vulnerable. You hear a lot more songs about needing men to be strong, but of course the strength comes from vulnerability, and this song really gets it. And I love it. I love this song. The lyrics again, even with Hello, I Hear Goodbye, and the pain in her voice that you can hear when she ends on the word cry, and it goes up, and there's a beautiful bridge, this kind of spacey part, and the guitar throughout, and especially at the end. The song Cry is just beautiful. It's just a beautiful song, and I think it's the standout of all of these. Except for one more song, which you're probably amazed I haven't mentioned yet. And that is the first track on Charli XCX's album, Backseat, which features Carly Rae. This is really great because it highlights how stupid this whole idea is of having them compete against each other. But it's beautiful because it shows what makes the Charli XCX album so interesting, that she can have so many guest appearances, including Carly Rae Jepsen, and have them all work really well in this very ambitious album. And I don't think it could go the other way. I think Charli XCX could have Carly Rae on her album, but I don't think Carly Rae could have Charli XCX on hers. And I think that shows the strength of Charli's album. The whole track is about emptiness of celebrity, and it's interesting having Carly Rae on there because she just sings about kissing, about kissing somebody. But it goes into this general theme of interest. And by that I mean what is just more intellectually engaging for me. There's pop power, and then there's the intellectually interesting. So when I talk to people about, oh, you think that pop music is dead since, Brian Wilson stopped making new music or whatever. No, have a listen to, and I might say listen to Pop 2. Just a production everywhere, particularly on a track like Tears or Lucky. Lucky is maybe the best song to listen to if you want to hear how insane this album is, because the auto-tuning that's being used here, it does remind me of Kanye in the way that it's using auto-tune, but it's using it just totally avant-garde. Just like, it's not that she can't sing notes, it's that they're just taking it and just raising it to this highest possible level, turning it into a whole different instrument. Just so much there. Carly Rae Jepsen's album is still very interesting, but is maybe hurt by its biggest attribute, which is its consistency. The consistency of both. By the time I got to the third track on Emotion Side B, the one, I started to feel it was maybe a bit too samey, which is again another way of saying consistently atmospheric. So that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points for Carly Rae, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points for Charli XCX. What am I going to do? Well, I'll have you know, in the community tab, in the comments section, I posted that I was going to be comparing these two, and you voted. There's 8 votes for one singer and 0 votes for the other. Thus, the tiebreaker is going to declare pop pop. Charli XCX wins this particular battle, and Carly Rae Jepsen comes in second. I would say, though, that they are pretty tied in my mind, truthfully. When I think about what do I want to listen to more, I think it's just a question of how much do I want to just have a good, consistent, positive feeling with quality pop, and how much do I want to just be drenched in thinking about a very well-crafted, very heady pop album. So there you go. 3,000 subscribers. Let's see if I can lose a few of this rambling mess. I don't know. But they're both better than Bob Dylan. And Morrissey is a racist. So if I say those things, then people will comment, and my channel will get even more subscribers. All right. Until next time, for Carly Rae, for Charli XCX, and for Sia and Aurora too. Why not? And for all 3,000 of you, there's the camera.